we're going to reposition a baby in a Beco Gemini carrier from an inward facing position to a position where they might choose to breastfeed. We've got the baby in the carrier nice and snug, tight underneath the arms, and we've chosen a crossed back. A crossed back is a relatively common choice with the Beco Gemini in the first place, but it's a useful choice when lowering a baby into a feeding position because it gives you a little bit more flexibility on where you put your arms. The first thing that we need to do is loosen the carrier a little bit. Hold the baby safely with one hand and open the strap on the carrier. You can do that by holding the buckle itself, not undoing it, but simply angling it, holding it top and bottom and moving it away in a motion that's like opening a door. And we do exactly the same thing on the other side. When we have a little bit of looseness inside the carrier, you also might choose to put some looseness in the waistband, but it's not always necessary. We're always keeping a hand on the baby in the carrier whilst it's loose. We've got a little bit of room to manoeuvre, so we'll be able to lean forwards just a little bit. Leaning forwards just a little bit allows you space to put your hand inside your carrier and adjust your clothing. It also allows us to start to position the baby and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce into a position where they're lower down and slightly asymmetrical, and they can turn their face where they might choose to feed. So we've started by literally putting baby sideways across the body. We've got a bit of a diagonal going on. If you prefer baby to be a bit more upright, we can bounce even more with the waistband and get them nice and central and upright in that feeding position. You can also reach inside and adjust your breast and make sure that the baby's face is always visible. You can look down and see their mouth and nose, that they're actively feeding. Once you're happy that they're in there, we can tighten the carrier up a little bit. Just because they're low down doesn't mean they should be loose, so we still have space to tighten at the side, swapping hands on the baby and pulling forwards and then back, with space to tighten at the side and even on the waistband when it's necessary. This might be enough space, but it depends on your build and what you're wearing and the size of your baby as to if it will work for you. One step further, if you feel that you can't get the baby down low enough in this way of using the carrier, is to go into a full hip carry position. And that's why we had the cross straps at the start. You can see that this strap on my shoulder is not doing a huge amount of the work at this moment in time. This one's doing a lot more. So if I need more space or to be able to move the baby down lower, then I can guide my arm up and out of this strap. This brings us into a hip carry position in the Beco Gemini. Holding the baby nice and securely, it means that this strap will come diagonally across your back. Diagonally across your back enables you to have your whole arm out of the carrier, and it gives us a lot more movement. So you can go to that from the beginning if you want to, or you can go to it only if it's needed. The full hip carry position just means that you have a little bit more freedom. You can use the headdress just a little for a little bit of extra support, or a privacy shield if that's needed, but make sure that the carrier isn't pressing the baby's head against your body. You may need to add a supplementary hand when you're walking around an ambulatory with a baby feeding in a carrier, especially for younger babies who don't have full head control, but it can help to keep you mobile and moving and your baby upright and feeding on the go if that's something you think would be useful for you. Always return your baby to an upright position, central on your chest after feeding, unless you're still happy to keep them in a hip carry, but we still need to adjust the height of the body panel. We can do that by either just lifting our baby's back up to that close enough to kiss position and tightening everything till they stay there, or by loosening the carrier out, again in the same way, finding the buckle and opening it like opening a door. Slide the baby back towards the front with your hands on the outside of the carrier and dive your arm back in so that the strap comes back up onto your shoulder in an X shape, and then tighten everything until your baby stays where they need to be. Forwards and then back, forwards and then back. And the waistband, if it's a bit saggy because you loosened it, it's important to press it up and flat against your body, which will bring the slack to the back, and then you can work that away as well. So we can go all the way back to the beginning with the baby upright inside the carrier, nice and snug against your torso.